Hello there, dear viewer. We come to the end of 2024, yet there are still fantastic releases coming out. Today is the 30th of December, so we literally have one day left of the year. But even this morning, I had new releases turn up at my doorstep. So we're going to go well into January, covering some of December and even November's titles that I haven't touched on yet. But the one that I want to focus on in this video is Hitchcock, The Beginning. This is a brand new box set from Studio Canal, focusing on the early works of Alfred Hitchcock. This box set covers some of his silent work as well as some of his early sound films. And you get 10 films in total, although one of those, Blackmail, you get the sound version and the silent version. This is an 11-disc set with all of those films, plus an extra documentary looking at Hitchcock's legacy and in particular looking at Blackmail and talking about the early period in Hitchcock's filmography and his career. So I'll do my usual where I show you what you get inside the box set, and then I will give you my overall thoughts on whether this is something that is perhaps for you to add to your own collection. First, I'll talk a bit about the films in this set. So if I just read the list of films off the back of the box, so the silent films that you get from Hitchcock, you get The Ring from 1927, The Farmer's Wife from 1928, also from that year, Champagne, The Manxman from 1929, which has a new score, and Blackmail, which has a new restoration and score. Then we come on to the talkies, and you also get Blackmail again with a new restoration. Now, with Blackmail, the new restoration on the silent version and the sound version are actually different. So they come from two different sources. It's the silent version that actually has a restoration coming from the original negative, whereas the talkie version of Blackmail comes from a later print. But they both look very good indeed, but I think if you were comparing visually the two, the silent version does look a touch better. And the next film you get from 1930, you get Juno and the Paycock, which has a new restoration. You get Murder from 1930, The Skin Game from 1931, which also has been remastered in 2024. You get Rich and Strange from 1931, and you get Number 17 from 1932, as well as that new documentary, Becoming Hitchcock, The Legacy of Blackmail. You get all of these films across 11 discs, so as you can tell, there is a lot within this set. And I think they have done an excellent job in collecting these films, presenting them here across all of the discs. And many of these films were missing on Blu-ray, particularly in the UK. I think some of these have had US releases from Kino Lorber, but certainly in the UK we hadn't had these before. It isn't quite a complete box set of the period because there are certain films which are held up in rights issues with ITV. I think they hold the rights for certain films like The Pleasure Garden. Because the films presented in the box set are from different periods of being restored, some of these are from this year, whereas some of them go back to 2012 when they were restored. They are of varying quality and of course the different sources that those restorations came from. But the overall quality, the presentation of these films is of a level where you're not going to be disappointed. Nothing in here looks terrible by any means. You just have to be aware that due to the age of these films and, like I said, the different sources of how these films were restored, there is a varying quality level, and perhaps the best looking one is that silent version of Blackmail. So maybe you're asking yourself, is this a box set you need in your collection? And while I think this is a superb box set, and I think it's one of the best box sets of this year, I do not think this box set is for many people at all. I want to make clear that I'm not commenting on the quality of this box set. I'm talking about the films themselves, because these are Hitchcock's early works, and nothing in here I think rises above good. There is nothing to even come close to what Hitchcock would do later on in his career. So certainly if you're someone that has no interest in the great works that Hitchcock made later in his career, this box set is probably not for you at all, unless you are perhaps a really strong fan of silent cinema. Then you might want to come at it from that angle. But the works here, these are not the masterpieces of the silent era. And I don't mean to be harsh on Hitchcock and his work, but these are not the best films in his filmography, not even close. So you're very much coming at this set. You have to be a lover of Hitchcock and you have to be interested in the man himself and his career, seeing where he came from. Because if you're coming at this box set purely for entertainment value and wanting, 10 great films, you're not going to find that in this box set. That is, of course, my subjective opinion, but I think the overall consensus on these films is they are not the greatest. And some of these are actually some of Hitchcock's worst films, particularly films like Juno and The Paycock, which just seemed like a real kind of misstep in his career, but maybe he was experimenting with different types of storytelling, different stories, and to go on to great successes, you need to have failures to learn from them. I think the best of the bunch here is probably Blackmail, and depending on which version you watch, I think the silent version is the better version, although the sound version is also great as well. And for an early sound film, it's actually much better than many of the sound films from that period from any filmmaker. And I'd say other than Blackmail, I think Rich and Strange is probably my favourite of the set. So I do want to make it clear and temper expectations about the films in this set. I don't think you're going to find a hidden masterpiece amongst these films. It is purely for seeing Hitchcock and his early works and, seeing the moments of brilliance in these films. There are moments, but as a cohesive film, many of these films struggle and do show their age. So with that said, let's have a look at the actual product that you get. And you can see that the box comes in this rigid hard case. It has this brand new artwork, which I really like actually. I think the artwork evokes the period. I like the moody colours, the black and the white, but then also the added red. I like the chosen font, and this is used again on the spine. And on the back of the case, you have printed all of the information. My first gripe with this packaging, and I've said it many a time about Studio Canal products, is that they continue to insist on printing the BBFC ratings logos directly on the collector's box, on the front and on the spine, often on the back as well, although they haven't actually put it on the back this time. And for good measure, they put it on the bottom of the case as well. Totally unnecessary. As an example, if I just show you some other box sets from other labels on how to do it, I have one here from Indicator. Indicator have the logo on this piece of card, which just slides off. And then you can have this on display on your shelf, and you don't have the ratings logo on the product. To some people, this might sound like not a big deal at all, but trust me, many collectors, especially collectors who are going to be able to afford to spend £100 on the Hitchcock box set, they would much prefer to have the option of having it nicely displayed and not have the BBFC logos on the front. Another example I've got is this. This is the Louis Feuillade box set from Eureka Masters of Cinema. You can see the ratings logo on this piece of card here, but if we remove this, this is what the box set looks like. And you'll see many labels now. I think most labels that do a nice boutique box set like this will not print the ratings logo on the actual box. They will put it on a piece of card or a piece of paper, which costs very little to do. And I think ultimately you will sell more units if you do this kind of thing. I know it's a small gripe, but it's one I want to bring up again because hopefully the Studio Canal team can take this on board, that many collectors do not want to see these logos printed on the collector's boxes. If you agree with me on this, then please leave a comment on this video just so I can see who is on the same page as me. Anyway, that issue aside, let's see what you get inside the actual case. So these are the contents, and the bulk of this is 2 digipacks which hold all of the various films. Starting with this, the silent films, you'll see the discs housed in a case like this. Pretty standard stuff. I'm not a fan of these kind of digipack cases. I prefer when a film has its own case within the box set, much like what Indicator or Arrow and Eureka have been doing. Bringing it back in just to show you the Louis Feuillade set, this kind of thing is what I like to see when there are many discs within a box set. And then on the back of the digipack you get a quick synopsis of the film and some of the information about the film. Exactly the same with the sound films. It comes in another digipack and it looks very much the same. You also get a 60-page booklet which features some writings about the films in this set and about Hitchcock's period of his career that is featured in this set. There are also some images in here as well. Lastly, it comes with a fold-out poster, which has the cover artwork from the box set. So that is Hitchcock: The Beginning. I think it's a fantastic box set, although I have those minor issues with the packaging. But in terms of the films presented on the discs themselves, and all of the special features, by the way, which I didn't even cover, there are many special features across all of the discs to delve into. I think all of that stuff is great. But as I mentioned earlier, this is not meant to be a casual purchase that you make on a whim. You have to really want to explore these films because, as I said, the level of filmmaking here is not anywhere close to what Hitchcock would achieve later in his career. And it is an expensive box set at over £100. So you might want to wait for a discount or a sale. But I'd say even at full price, it's worth it because of the content you get. You're getting 11 films essentially, plus a documentary and plenty of special features. So there is a ton in here, but it is a big asking price and it is certainly not for everyone. Click the video that's on screen right now if you want to get more reviews and recommendations from me. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll see you soon.